How do I see the dead? Somebody asked me, do they look like the living to me? They look exactly like the living to me. I've learned over time, most of the time, I still get fooled sometimes, but most of the time I can tell who's dead and who isn't. For instance, there is a restaurant that I've gone to a few times in a town that's near me, and as I go up the stairs to the second floor, like say the first floor is full and they've opened the second floor for seating, there's always a woman that walks down the very middle of the staircase, and I end up turning and saying, "Excuse me," even though she's totally the one that's in the way. She's wearing a long white dress. It's a very simple, really pretty white dress that honestly is a little overdressed for that restaurant. And if I'd really looked at her closely, I would have realized that the dress is not our era at all. It's more like the early 1900s, maybe late 1800s, when women just started to show a little bit of ankle. You know how scandalous. But she's just walking straight down the middle of the stairs, and I always get out of her way and say, "Excuse me," and then realize that she's dead and she's probably been there for 100 years. So yes, I see the dead exactly the same way that I see the living. Um, when I get a reading, the dead usually show up a couple of days before the person calls me, and I tend to see them standing slightly behind me and to my left. I have no idea why. But when I notice that there are dead kind of accumulating right over my left shoulder, that's kind of my cue that I'm going to get a phone call to schedule a reading with somebody in the next couple of days. I attribute that to what I said before, that when we want to speak with somebody who's crossed, we kind of put out that signal by our intention. And if they've showed up with me, that means the person who wants to talk to them, the living person, has already decided I'm the intuitive that they're going to call to have that reading. So the dead know who to go to. During the reading or before the reading, they don't usually talk to me. I'm just here to interpret. So why would they have a conversation with me? It's a very rare thing for one of them to talk to me prior to a reading. Um, but there is one exception to that, and it's only happened a couple of times where the living person needed to speak with somebody who had died, and the dead person just wasn't ready to have that conversation. These are usually really difficult conversations in my experience. For instance, I had one woman who had had some very, let's just call it inappropriate interactions with her father. Her father was still alive. She was no contact with her father. Her mother had passed when she was a teenager. And the mother who had passed, when the woman called for reading, the woman had showed up a few days before. The dead woman, talked to me directly and said, "I can't take this meeting. I can't talk to her. She wants answers, and I don't have any for her. I can't answer her. I can't give her what she needs to heal in this conversation. So I can't talk to her." I've learned the hard way that if a dead person says they can't meet with somebody, I don't schedule the reading, because they're just not going to show up, and then I feel like an idiot. So yeah, I can see people very clearly. I can tell you the color of their hair, the color of their eyes, about how tall they were, the style of clothes that they used to wear. I have noticed that they tend to show themselves slightly younger and better looking than they might have been when they died. So, for instance, if they died in their 80s and they were very infirm and didn't look well, they'll show me themselves when they were like 65 or 70, when they felt like they looked healthy and good, or extremely young. There's sometimes where, I see people and it's like, well, he died when he was 80, and I'm seeing like a 35-year-old man. But usually they give enough information that I can accurately describe them, and they'll be like, well, that was like a picture of him when he was in the military. So it's very specific. I've never really had an instance where somebody who came to me for a reading said, "Yeah, I don't know who you're talking about," with the exception of group readings. Every now and then that can get confusing when I'm doing large group readings. I used to travel and do that every once in a while, where I would do group readings for a room full of people, and that can get a little confusing when you have a lot of people that are dead, that trying to figure out who's who. Not great with names. Every once in a while I'll get a name very, very clearly. Usually that's only to connect with the living person who might be really doubtful or skeptical. Usually if I can get a name dead on, it's not because of me, it's because of the person I'm reading for, and maybe they requested that to lend legitimacy to their reading. I'm not sure. But normally, if I can sense like the first letter of a name, and I just feel stupid going, "Oh, it starts with an M," that's just such a cheesy, like, psychic thing to say. So yeah, I just leave that out. I don't get names, but I can tell you exactly what they look like, and we just go from there. It's never been an issue. So yep, totally see dead people exactly the way I see living people. I hear them exactly pretty much the way I hear living people, and with the exception of sometimes they talk to me inside my head, which is not hearing voices. My therapist has confirmed it's not hearing voices.